Hi, everybody. Today I'm working in my prompt journal, and it's a perfect time to talk about why I art journal because it ties in with the prompt explore. So, this is my prompt journal that I have created. Now, these are using up the prompts from my 100 Pick a Prompt cards, and those are available as a digital download at NINNYSNAPKINS.com. I'll link that. So on here, I have broken the page using this brand new to me mark making tool. I will link the video where I show all that this can do. You're going to want to check that out. But I basically broke the page with black acrylic paint on this gesso page here. I grabbed my prompt journal and I put it on this page. Now, it happened to be where the prompts are textured and explore. So what I do is I have both of those, and then I decide which of those prompts I feel like expanding upon. So over time, what I do is I do a brain dump and I put down some of the possibilities. I'm exploring those possibilities. And this is one of the reasons I love mixed media art journaling because I get to play, experiment, explore. So that kind of ties in with the page. Now, I have this swoosh that I put on here. One of the things that I've kind of kept in here is this globe. I like this printable and I thought I could use it. Now it's a little bit more difficult to position because now I have something else here that really wasn't part of the plan. And that's one of the reasons I like to art journal because you're presented with problems that you need to solve. And if you get creative, sometimes those lead you to wonderful places. So I'm playing with some of my various printables. Here I've grabbed out Reach for the Stars Sentiment Pack, another digital download that you can purchase. And I'm playing with some of the sentiments. I'm exploring the possibilities here of what I have, what I can use to create this page. I've done some brainstorming. I have atlas papers, map papers, different things. And now I'm just playing with this and I'm deciding which of these possibilities I'm going to go with. Like, what color scheme am I going to work with? Well, one of the things that I had brainstormed was using maps. And as I grab out this old atlas that is used as collage papers, there's lots of green and yellows in there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to put down some collage papers. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work on my page, if it's going to work, if it's going to be seen, but I'm willing to give it a try and experiment. And that's, if you can put that in the forefront, I'm just going to explore and play and experiment and see what I can learn instead of I need to create a beautiful page. So I'm just ripping this up and layering it on, trying to work around that center swoosh. I really like that swoosh that I made with my multi-line mark maker, and I want to showcase that. So the challenge is showcasing that, but making an interesting background. So here I'm gluing down the atlas paper. I'm layering it up. This is going to give me some texture. It's also starting my color story. Now I'm going to apologize here. I zoomed in early in this video recording and I never realized that I was so tight and that part of the page is not showing. But the main parts are there, so I decided to keep the video. So I beg your forgiveness and let's just keep going. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. Now, that top swoosh there is going to be covered by that globe-like printable, but I was planning on covering that with gesso, but I thought, oh, I can cover that with the collage papers. So to colorize more, I am grabbing my Inktense blocks. Now, these are ink in a block form that are water soluble. But unlike watercolor, they are permanent when they are dry. So when I put wet medium on them later, I'm good. So all you need to use these is you scribble on the colors that you chose. I've swatched it out so I can kind of match it to what I want. And then you just activate it with water. And I'm just using my finger to activate it. Now I'm choosing this instead of my acrylic paints because I want to see that swoosh. I want to see the atlas paper. I don't want to knock that back. I want to see all those details and have them come through. So I want something that's very kind of goes translucent that I can see through, that I'm not blocking or knocking these things back. Sometimes you want to knock things back and you don't want to see them as prevalent as they are. And sometimes, right? Now, if you don't have the blocks, and I highly recommend them because it's my second most used color medium next to the acrylic paints. You can water down acrylic paints so that you're not knocking it back. Here deciding to add a darker green. I want some variation. I want to keep my background fairly simple so that the printables and that swoosh really are showcased, but I needed some contrast, some dark, some lights, and I'm trying to build that in with a darker color here. And that's kind of guiding some of my next steps. So why do I art journal? Because I want the challenge, because I want to play and experiment and explore. And I like getting those problems, and I'm really liking when I solve the problem. So here I'm grabbing a baby wipe and pulling the Inktense block color off. And I kind of let it wait a little bit too long before I decided to do that. So it's not really giving me the effect that I wanted. Not enough is being lifted because, of course, I didn't know I was there. So it's like, I like this, but it's not giving me enough. So I decide, okay, I'm going to use the same stencil, but I'm going to put some white gesso on top. And that's going to give me that very subtle mark, but I'm still going to see the atlas paper, the swoosh. I don't want to knock those back. And I'm happy with that. I wanted this to be subtle. I wanted the background to be very neutral almost, just different greens. Then I grabbed this stamp, right? On that page at the top, on the opposite page, I did some brainstorming on what supplies I had that would fit the explore theme or prompt. So this is from Stamperia, and I decided to go with a contrasting color, burnt sienna here. And I'm stamping some off the page and some in various places. I just want a little bit of pizzazz or more interest in the background. And I even went over the swoosh there, but I'm okay with that. Bit of an experiment. I'm exploring the possibilities. That's the theme of this page, so that's what I want to do. So I'm just stamping all over the place. And again, when you're exploring, there is no right and wrong. Push the limits. If you can think it, I wonder if, do it, try it. Worst case scenario, you paint everything over with gesso and start over. So I'm kind of positioning where that globe is to decide. Now here I'm doing some experimenting with the navy stencil butter from the Crafter's Workshop. And instead of pushing it through with a palette knife, because I've got a lot of texture on that page and I didn't think I'd get good putting the modeling paste like thing through, I'm using a stencil brush and stenciling on. That's giving me the metallic notes of this beautiful stencil butter. And I've got the blue, and I chose the blue because, again, I thought it was going to look really good with the greens that were in the background. And I needed a little more contrast. So again, I started with the yellow green color from the map, added the burnt sienna, and now I'm adding this. Now, this is kind of ethereal, star-like, and I kind of want to swoosh across the page a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it. I tend to put too much on, so I'm very mindful of falling into that trap. So I'm just stenciling with the stencil butter. And we're going to use the stencil butter in, I think, 3 different ways because I'm exploring the possibilities. I'm positioning where I'm thinking I'm going to put that Julie Nutting doll, and because I want this motif not to be in the wrong spot. So I'm putting it across the sky, and I decide not to put anything lower. I was tempted, but I fought the temptation. So yay me. So now I want to splatter with it. So I'm putting a little bit on my silicone craft mat, which I am loving. And then you just want to put a little bit of water and water that down to make it so that you can splatter with it. So just like you splatter with acrylic paint, you water it down, you can do the same thing with stencil butters. And they have that iridescent metallic kind of look to them that is imparted to your page when you splatter. So I always like when I have a product, I like to be able to figure out how many ways I can use it and use it in multiple ways so I can maximize its use. And stencil butters are very, very versatile. So we use the stencil brush instead of the palette knife. Now we're splattering. And a third way that I'm going to use them, I'm going to use the stencil butters here to paint with. Again, I'm going to get that iridescent metallic look. It's going to match perfectly with what I used in the rest of it. I'm just using the thinned stencil butter. Just water it down a little bit so that you can easily use a round brush, just like I'm doing here. And I'm painting her dress the navy color because I want it to match those stars that are in the sky and the blue there. So I have some leftover paint here. So here's the 4th use for the stencil butters that I've explored. You can smoosh with it. Water it down. This was a little thick. I think later on I'm going to take this and water it down, and that gives a slightly different smoosh. So depending on how much water, you get a different look. And I grabbed one of these tags. I'm not sure if it was gessoed or not, but I've smooshed it. So I've broken the tag, and I will be finishing that tag at a later date. But right now, nothing's been waste. And we have 4 ways of using stencil butters. Aside from pushing it through a stencil with a palette knife. So 5. Love the white space that you get with smooshing. Not sure if I'm going to smoosh another color on there. That's a decision for another day. So now I'm just taking my fluid matte medium and I'm gluing down all my elements. And you're going to see me glue this down. Now, the I Dwell in Possibility came from Reach for the Stars sentiment pack. But I want to get rid of some of the white there because it doesn't seem there's enough in that globe printable. And at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to paint that in any way or if I'm going to just leave it white, but I didn't want more white. So here I'm just bubble cutting. And whenever I've got script as part of a sentiment, I like to bubble cut around it. Just give that white halo, but get rid of a lot of the excess white. Just the way I roll. I dwell in possibility. And that's why I love art journaling, because of the possibilities. Anything goes. You change when you do a step, you change a color, you change, and you end up with in a totally different place. So when you art journal, you dwell in possibilities. Here I'm grabbing my angle brush, black paint, and I am shading, edging the page. This frames the page, finishes it off. And then I'm going to shade around the girl, which you're not going to see a lot of because, of course, I'm out of frame. But often I get so involved in the creative process that I forget about the technical side, checking am I in camera. So yes, I'm shading the girl's dress, her hair, and then I'm adding a little bit of a wash of color, just darkening the colors, but it's still very much going to be a black and white and grayish focal image here. Pretty neat printable. And I don't even remember where I got it from. Then I grabbed the burnt sienna that I stamped with and then I painted the girl's hair with and my liner brush. And I'm just painting the letters to imagine. I put that as the base because that is the basis of exploring. If you can imagine it, you can create it. Explore, imagine, and don't edit those thoughts. Try it out. Imagination. And then I just decided I'm going to, a couple elements on here I'm going to do. So it's black and white and gray with just that little bit of burnt sienna. Again, tying it into the background. And I decided I wanted some gold splatter, so I have my thin gold paint that I keep in the tub. Grab my fan brush, and I'm just going to splatter. I do show the finished page, and that is in all frame. So yay me in the last 5 minutes, 5 seconds of the video. I'll try to do better. But I like that swoosh there. It's still very dominant. It's still very present. I've maximized it. I hope you do check out the video about that mark maker. Well worth your time. So we've explored the uses of stencil butter. We explored using a mark made with this multi-line mark maker. And I love it. I will do more of it because I love it. And we explored using prompts and how to make that work. So I hope you dwell in the possibilities of art journaling. Enjoy the process, experiment, try, explore. Until next time, get creative.